Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 11 of I don't know what I was going to say their title was. I was going to say the new, but I don't know what even would start with new. All right, sick. So full transparency, I just had like 20 minutes of technical issues, so starting this off on the best foot, but here we go. Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 11 of The Cool Water Show, a podcast about the Real Housewives universe. I am joined by my much more technology advanced co-host, Katie. Katie, how is your internet doing today?
My internet is good so far, knock on wood. But listen, you could say I'm more technologically advanced, but I don't have to do anything other than show up. So I showed up, it worked, it was easy for me.
Yeah, I tried showing up and my Wi-Fi was like, nah, dog, not today. We're gonna make you jump some hurdles and do a little obstacle course, but we made it. We made it. So we are in a little bit of a time crunch. So we are going to do this dirty, dirty, dirty martini style.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way Orange County likes it. So that's really the
Yep.
only good thing coming out of Orange County is dirty, dirty, dirty martinis.
Yep.
So we're going to give you a little bit of Salt Lake City. Then we're going to give you a little bit of Orange County. When we say a little, we mean a little. And then we'll finish up with New Jersey. Also, I can't remember if I said we're here on behalf of Silent Podcast. We're anything but silent. So shout out to the brand putting us
Shout out to Silent Podcasts.
on the airwaves. But with that said, we are in episode 2 of 3. I'm very glad that the reunion for Salt Lake City is only going to be 3 episodes.
As am I, because I don't think I could listen to Heather and Whitney for another 2 hours. Like I barely have another hour in me. I don't think I could do another 2.
I'm just kind of like overall fed up with it in terms of the reunion.
Yeah.
I think if
Same.
they had Mary, then there could have been a bit more, but I don't like there's only right now everybody I feel is in a very like raw place from Lisa's rant. And
Totally agree.
that it hasn't been enough time for them to have a worthwhile conversation about it, because you can tell that like Meredith is still hurt by it, rightfully so, and hasn't had enough time to process. Like it's different than the whole like catering thing at the beginning of the season,
Right.
where everyone's like, oh yeah, that happened, whatever. But this they saw like less than 48 hours before they filmed, and you can tell that they haven't talked about it. So this is in a good way like the first time they get to, but at the same time there's not a lot of like good conversation happening, in my opinion.
Right.
Instead,
I
it's a
wasn't
lot of like yelling.
Yeah, I wasn't like super psyched about this episode. And just out of curiosity, I did just look up the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City premiere date. And we've been watching this season since September. So like it's time for this to be over. September 12th. So I think we're in March now. It's actually March
It's March 12th.
12th. So is this like the 6-month anniversary of this season starting? That is too long for any Housewives to be on the air. It's too long. It's too long. I'm ready for this to be over. I'm ready to not talk about or think about these ladies.
I saw a tweet that was like how this season of Salt Lake City has progressed, and it at like the back end of a very, very, very nicely drawn horse, like very artistic, and then it like progresses.
Oh, I love that
up
meme.
into,
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
the like kid, like
Yeah,
maybe kindergarten one, and it is a very accurate description of what's going on.
It really is.
We got like a few important concepts I felt brought up during this hour, but nothing that, I mean, maybe I'm biased because I just finished watching this week the 4-part reunion from Atlanta, the season that I was watching, which that was a fucking reunion. Like, that was crazy. But so this, I'm just like, oh, okay, we get it. Like Meredith and Lisa aren't friends. That's
right.
That's like the conclusion. So I thought something that was funny was when Andy was like, Lisa, how many important camera or conversations you have off camera? Seems like you have a lot.
She was like, only 2.
Yeah. It's like, 2 that we know of, but
right.
She tried to have 2 more during the reunion.
Literally 2 more, 100% more on camera. Like I tried to have exactly the amount that she had during the season during this reunion.
So it's very hard for me to believe that there is only 2. Do you feel that Andy is like very much not on Lisa's side throughout this? Because I feel like she's getting an attitude from Andy that I haven't seen too often in other reunions.
Yeah, I feel like Andy gets this way sometimes with people. I've noticed he's kind of like this with her on Watch What Happens Live too. So I feel like he's like not her biggest fan.
Okay.
But I can see it.
Yeah, something I've noticed where it just feels like in times he tries to be unbiased, but there seems to be
Right.
a lot of bias in the way he's asking the questions towards Lisa and how he's responding towards
Mhm.
Lisa. And I didn't know if it was just me noticing that or if like
I also think he could do a better job of moderating this conversation because, like I've been saying, it's just Heather and Whitney interjecting and not stopping. And
mhm.
we have seen him at other times be like, stop, I'm asking her a question. He's just like letting them pile on her, which I don't think really ever makes for a good reunion. Like, you want to hear what they have to say. You don't want to hear these other like interlopers like screaming over. I don't know if interlopers is a word. I heard Kelly Dodd say it one time, and I hate that I just said a word that Kelly Dodd just said. But it just like flashed me back to Kelly Dodd calling all the other women from the Real Housewives of Orange County interlopers, and then I'm like upset with myself. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I think he could be doing a much better job of being like, I'm asking Lisa a question. Let's let Lisa finish answering the question. Because we
I
want
agree.
Lisa to answer. We don't need Heather to start talking over Lisa every time she tries to answer a question.
I think we want Lisa to answer. I think Andy wants the women to pile on Lisa.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. But like, it just doesn't make for good TV.
Yeah, it's not fun to it's hard to watch because I also wouldn't mind hearing what Heather has to say, but I can't hear what she has to say when Lisa is trying to explain herself and Heather or Whitney are trying to like say something at the same time. Like I would like to hear both.
Yeah.
And it's
I
impossible to do so.
I don't need to hear what Heather has to say, personally. I think that she has no reason to be talking as much as she is. And
Yeah.
she's just trying to really just, I don't know, make a moment for herself. And I think it's really falling flat. Just like,
Mhm.
stop, Heather. Just stop.
I understand that. I get your point.
Less is more.
uh, something I watched it twice. And they were talking about Meredith's father's calling Meredith, and Lisa says, Meredith's I'm in the middle of like I can't talk to you right now.
Yeah.
And so then Meredith's like, no, absolutely not. I was in the bath. I wasn't even in the bath at the place we were staying in Vale. I was in the bath at the hotel. Does that mean Meredith took 2 baths that day?
That's what I want to know. I had the same thought. So you
Okay,
were in
good.
Vale already at a hotel in a bath. And then when everybody got to the house, you were in a bath. Before everybody got to the house, you're in a bath. How many fucking baths did you take, Meredith? And that's why I believe Lisa. There's no way that you took more than one bath in one day in 2 different locations. I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
I was like, wait a second. Didn't they get there on the Tuesday? So she took 2 baths in one day?
2 baths. 2
That's too much.
baths.
That's too much.
That's too many baths.
Too many off-camera conversations, too many baths. That's what's coming out of this reunion for me.
I totally agree. I kind of believe Lisa in this scenario here. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like a little bit, and I know I'm a Lisa apologizer, but like I just feel like it's why would Meredith on the phone be like, thank you, I love you, thank you. When she says, go be with your family, I feel so bad. Like we hear her saying that. She's not like, oh, I'm in the bath, I can talk.
Yeah.
She's not like, what? Jen just got arrested? I'm in the bath. Tell me what's going on. Like, that's pretty groundbreaking information. Or I guess she said Sharif's in the hospital at that point. But she wasn't like, oh my God, like call me back. Let me know if he's okay. She really sounded like she was in the middle of something.
I want to think that Meredith was mad at Lisa and didn't want to talk to Lisa. And so the easy thing to say is, I'm in the middle of family shit right now, can't talk.
Right.
And not knowing that that one sentence is going to drive like over 10% of the storyline of the season.
Yeah. And I don't understand why Lisa is getting all of the heat for this when Heather and Whitney are the 2 conspiracy theorists on this cast who made this a huge deal and then convoluted it into, oh, she lied about being at her father's memorial. So because she knew that the FBI was coming because she called the FBI on Jen. That was a brainchild of Whitney and Heather. And we lost the plot here a long time ago because of what happened with Lisa and the hot mic. And I think it's really taking away from, and I agree with what Lisa said in the last episode of the reunion, where she's like, if this didn't happen, like, then things would be totally different. And she's kind of right, because now it's like revisionist history and Lisa's just like the evil person on the cast, when a lot of these other women have done a lot of things against Meredith as well. And they're just like pretending that that all didn't happen.
I also feel like Meredith is kind of pretending that it all didn't happen.
Right.
she's
Right.
like, no, Jen, you actually were nice to me. Like, I feel like she is very much, and I guess rightfully so, because she watched this 2 days
Hmm.
before. Like, all of her negative energy is currently focused on Lisa. And I guess especially when all the other women are kind of like jumping to Meredith's defense right now, is it
Right.
smart for Meredith to be like, oh, wait a second, Heather and Whitney, like, fuck all y'all too? Because I think right now her big issue, I think she's approaching it from, I've got the bigger fish to fry, and that fish is
Right.
named Lisa.
I just think it's ill, and I don't know if ill-advised is the word I'm thinking of, but like it just doesn't seem like if it were me in the scenario, I mean, nobody really knows how they would act, but if it were me, I'd be like, yeah, don't get it twisted. Lisa said all this stuff about me on camera and we're gonna talk about this, but don't pretend like you have had my back this whole time because you haven't. Like you two are
Right.
snakes. Lisa's a snake. You're all snakes. And actually Jen has been the least snaky one on the cast towards Meredith. Jen, it felt like was in like self-preservation mode this whole
Mm-hmm.
time. And like went after Meredith a couple of times because of like what happened last season, but they did squash it early on. And then she really didn't come for Meredith until Jenny put it out there that she hired private investigators. So I think like I can
Hey,
kind of
can
understand.
I
Yeah.
get
Hey,
one private investigator, please?
yeah. Is there an app for that?
Yeah,
Can
can I
I?
get that delivered? Come to the
Yeah.
back door, though. Thanks.
Yeah. Can we Uber Eats some private investigators, please?
Yeah, I agree with you. And like I said, I think it's very easy right now for Meredith to just be like, Lisa, you are enemy number one,
Yeah.
and I only have enough time and energy right now for enemy
Right.
number one. And then the rest of you, I'll get you all next season. Because as
I
she
hope
said,
so.
is she actually a lawyer?
That was news to me. I don't know if I like missed that somewhere, but that was brand new information to me. I was
Yeah,
like,
I
wait,
don't know if
what?
she
I thought
said
she
it
owned a
in
store.
jest. Yeah. I don't know what was real and what was a joke about that. Like if there was a joke or if it was all fact. But
Yeah,
that
I
was
have no
confusing to
idea.
me.
Very.
Maybe she is. We'll have to figure it out.
I kind of
Uh,
liked the approach though, and Andy obviously was loving it, loving every second
yes.
of it. The one thing about
Uh,
this reunion that I do want to talk about, and I don't know if you have it in your notes yet or if we'll get to it, but is the Cameron of it all. Because I was very
yes.
upset about how they handled this Cameron situation. And I actually
Mhm.
thought it was disgusting. And Lisa has been having Cameron's back big time on social media because the women really were very disparaging towards him and he
Yes.
passed away. Like, that was not okay to me. And it was gross that Andy even kind of let that happen.
I agree. And I felt like the first thing I wrote in my Cameron section of the notes is Andy bringing him up is gross.
Yes, it's
So
just
I
the
agree.
the poor man has passed. Like, imagine being his family and then having these stupid women being like, he wasn't on the board of the Utah foster care, whatever, associate, whatever
Right.
they're called. And it's like he actually was about to be. There's a blog on the Utah. This has all come out on the internet that they posted a blog about how he was going to be on the board, or he was being indicted into the board, and he ended up passing away in between the time it took. Like Lisa was not lying. Essentially,
Yes.
there were posts, and she also made a post. She reposted something that she had posted on social media when Cameron passed away with all of his accomplishments. That in his words, I don't know why he sent them to her, but she was like, I asked him to send me all the things that he's done because so I could help him. I don't know what she was helping him with, but there was like a
Mhm.
huge list of things that he has accomplished. And I feel like the way these women spoke about him made him seem like he was just some random that Lisa was quote unquote friends with who got invited to a thing and like wasn't on the board, wasn't this person, and just made him seem really shady. And he wasn't that. It really seemed like he wasn't that.
Right. And on top of, you have Whitney bringing up even more dirt or
Yeah,
private
making these
things that,
accusations.
like, he was in a relationship with Mary. And I just, why are we, like, you guys are currently not only talking about someone who literally can never defend themselves ever again, but you
Exactly.
are profiting off of this man, like, because you are using it for storyline within your television show. And
Yeah.
Andy, again, bringing it up and then encouraging that conversation to happen, I did not appreciate that part. It was actually back-to-back parts because then the next part was about the kids, and I
That was
literally
so weird. That was so weird. The only other thing I want to say about Cameron is that I think it's like gross, again, that Heather is like, you brought him on camera so he could disparage Mary. But your stupid little best friend that you're sitting next to on the couch, / your cousin, called him up specifically to get dirt. Like Lisa is friends with this guy. Whitney doesn't
Right.
even know him and called him up and now is
Yes.
making these disgusting accusations about a man who has passed away and about a woman who's not there to defend herself about this affair that they supposedly had. I don't know Cameron's relationship status. I don't know if he was married or not, but we know Mary's
Right.
married. And it's just like, you don't have an issue with that, but you have an issue with Mary, with Lisa inviting him to a party when she obviously had a relationship with him, like a personal relationship with him. It's like, what are our standards here?
Yes. None. There are none.
None.
That's
None.
that's the answer. And Andy's bringing that up. That whole section shouldn't have been in. There's a lot from this reunion that could have been left out, and we could have maybe had like a solid 1 or 2 hours at most talking about the things that matter with not having Mary there and just eliminate Jenny. Like, would it really have been that bad to pay the women to come back and retape without Jenny post finding out that she's a racist?
I think we could have edited her out. She didn't bring, there was nothing in this. Even honestly, you could even see in this episode that these women they're not here for her. They're not here for Jenny. Like she was like, Mary didn't text me. Did you guys hear rumors about me? Begging them to say like, did you hear rumors about me? And they're like, no, we don't, like, just take a seat.
Yeah,
she could have
not
edited it
needed.
out.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I think we got ourselves into a situation where the season was just way too long and it had way too many storylines bumped in. And then we had this hot mic moment. So we're leaving all of the storylines in the show. And like I said, it's just like revisionist history of what actually happened.
Well, speaking of the revisionist history, how about Whitney's difference of opinion on Mary's church being a cult? So when Andy was like, do you believe Mary's church is a cult? Meredith, you've been. She goes, no. Whitney goes, when she attended, no, but now she questions it. I feel like that's the exact opposite of what happened, which was when she said she was there, people like worshiping her and talking to her in tongues. And there's like this artwork of her all over the church. But the best answer I thought was from Jen Shah, who goes, every church is a cult.
Yep. I think this is where I feel like I said before, like less is more. Like Jen's sound bites, she's about to probably go to jail for a long time. I think, allegedly as a felon. And she is making these like little sound bites and like she's coming off so likable in comparison to everybody else on this stage. It's wild. Like she knows when to interject. She's doing the right thing. But I thought that was the perfect response.
Yes. And they showed some flashbacks when she was there and how they were talking to Mary like she was all of their mothers. And and the woman was like, your fashion sense is amazing. Like you're a facsimile of God. And she's like, I had the same look as Jen Shah. Like
my favorite moments of the season.
Am I doing? Why am I here on Mother's Day? No less.
Right.
I have kids. I could be home.
Right.
We get one of two conversations where they're like, we kind of break the fourth wall, but like, okay, we're going to take a break. And we get Lisa coming up to Meredith being like, hey, I just want to talk to you. And Lisa's like, I love you. Meredith's like, I don't know what I know. And they tricked us in the preview. They made it seem like Lisa was going to walk out of whatever was going on when really they were just on break. So fuck you, Bravo, for that one.
I know.
That was dirty. That was dirty as fuck. When that happened, I was just like, oh, God damn it, Andy Cohen and friends. I'm mad at you.
Right? I know.
We get into, though, later, basically the rest of the reunion episode is about Meredith and Lisa. It all focuses on Meredith, Lisa after the Cameron after the kids segment. But again, I watched it twice and I still can't tell you one thing that happened in it.
Nope. I fast forwarded it the second time. I just thought it was a bizarre moment because we went from this really deep, heavy conversation about disparaging this man who's passed away right into a weird segue about these kids. And it's like, why are we?
The kids weren't even that big of a thing this season. Like
they had like the one clip of Jen playing basketball with her son who wanted nothing to do with her in that moment. And that's like, why are we showing this?
Yeah, the funniest kids were probably Jenny's, to be honest. But even then, it's not like they had a storyline by any means. They were just like,
and we don't need to see them. They're not going to get raised right with the right values. So keep it moving.
Bye, Jenny's
with those
kids.
two parents. Yeah, we don't need to see your kids.
So in our conversation the conversations for the rest of the time focus on Meredith and Lisa. And So Meredith seems to have one of her bigger gripes with Lisa being that she told Lisa that her dad was dying 3 days before he died. Lisa never called and checked in on her. Then 2 days after she died, Meredith, not she, he, her dad, Meredith calls Lisa to tell her and also invites her to the Shabbat dinner where Lisa only wanted to talk about like rekindling the friendship with men. And then Heather added in this little comment, which I know you don't want to hear, but I did think was interesting when she's like, Lisa, you texted me the day after he died saying you hope her dad gets better.
I think Heather was talking about her own dad when her own dad passed away.
Oh, I thought it was about Meredith.
I think it was about her own dad. I think she was like, when my dad passed away, she's like, I know how you feel because when my dad passed away, you texted me a few days later hoping that my dad was okay, which like, they're not friends. So maybe she just didn't know that his father had passed already, which I just thought was like such a hollow, like, it's not the same.
I thought she was talking about like Lisa texted Heather saying like, yeah, I'm hoping Meredith's dad gets better. Like maybe it came up within conversation.
I think it was I think it was when Heather's dad
that
passed.
Makes way more sense.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that is a weird thing. I thought that I almost called him Randy because I wanted to say Wrapped and Andy at the same time. So I thought Randy should have apped it. No, I think if Andy had like wrapped Lisa's rant, that would have been hilarious. Like I would have died.
I loved the dramatic reading of it. I thought it was, I don't know. I thought that was some of Andy's best work.
Yeah, no, I loved the reading. I think that if I were to get it as a rap, I would enjoy it as well. If you were to say, it was just the way it's like a prosecutor in court who had to like remove all emotion from a situation that happened and just fuck them and their and her family that poses, and just the way he said these things. It was good. I think he practiced that a few times in front of the mirror. He had to have.
I'm sure.
Meredith said she didn't care what was actually said within the rant, which I don't believe to be true, but she cares about the hatred that it was said with, and the vitriol, I think was a word. How do you feel about Meredith saying that?
She also said it took her an hour to get through watching it. And I just I don't believe that to be true. I just don't believe it. Just feels also dramatic to me. I mean, I could imagine being very pissed hearing someone that you think is your best friend, or as she said, we're supposed to be sisters, saying these things about you. But like, again, I think it's in the moment, Lisa was obviously at a breaking point, and it's very easy to believe that she didn't really mean what she was saying. Like, I don't know. Not excusing it, because she did say a lot of pretty terrible things, but I don't know.
It's so hard to excuse it when you get to the part at the end, which we can jump to it.
Yeah.
Which is attempt number 2 at an off-camera conversation where Lisa sits right next to Meredith. She's like, I'm so sorry I said this. I didn't mean it. But I had heard that you were making fun of the renovations that I had on my house, and that's what caused me
Lisa.
to say those things.
Oh, Lisa.
Can we just take a moment of silence?
We were all rooting for you, Lisa. We were all rooting for you, and then you came in with this.
For Lisa's credibility, it died. R.I.P.
It's just the lack of self-awareness for me that gets me with her. But, she's giving it to us, and we have to appreciate her. We have to appreciate her for the most ridiculous things that come out of her mouth.
It was very Jen Shah of her to do that, in my opinion.
Very.
Like, well, very. You did this about me.
Very.
When that happened, I was like, oh my God, next week, what are they going to lead us off with next week if they're finishing the episode with Lisa being like, but you made fun of my house, so that was why I was feeling that way.
Yeah, that was the moment where I was like, okay, maybe I can see where Meredith is coming from here. Because, I mean, like, obviously, I wouldn't be happy to hear my friends saying these things about me, but, like, everything else seemed a little bit exaggerated. And then this, I was like, oh, okay, maybe Meredith has a point. But I will say, like, I don't know if you've been following along with some of the things that Lisa's been posting on social media, but she has been posting a lot of receipts of text messages to Meredith, phone records showing that she called Meredith. So Lisa is bringing out the actual receipts of the conversations that she's had with Meredith, and Meredith is coming back to her, like trying to give some additional context, but it does seem like there was some exaggeration on Meredith's side about Lisa not reaching out to her.
I did see, I think you had like commented on one on Twitter maybe, or like reposted it, or I feel like I saw
It's
you
totally
providing
possible.
some commentary that I think I'd seen one of them, but I'll have to go and look. I don't follow, that's like the next step in my Housewives fandom is to follow people. I've tried to avoid that with a lot of the reality TV shows because then I get frustrated with like the shit that they promote or just maybe more like Survivor contestants and stuff when they make like having been on Survivor for a season their whole personality.
Yeah.
But I tend to like stay away from following the people from the reality TV shows that I like on social media, but I might have to be a better, well-rounded podcaster.
I follow the accounts that post about these things. I don't really follow that. I might follow Lisa. I'm not sure. But I think there's like a very few random housewives that I follow that from like 100 years ago that I just never unfollowed. But I don't make it a habit. Instagram, though, I do. I do follow them on Instagram.
Oh, yeah. See, I haven't done it on either. I probably wouldn't mind Twitter as much as as Instagram because I don't mind. I don't know. I don't know why I think Instagram is like so much more of, I think it's more curated where to me Twitter seems more like off the cusp. And so you're saying whatever versus it feels like when you post something on Instagram, like that gets dissected to the fullest where it's like, oh, this person just tweeted this.
Definitely.
Greg McBean does have some insight, and I know this about him, that he said he follows every single contestant from the reality TV shows. You're probably on the right side of this. Like Greg has spreadsheets. He has spreadsheets on spreadsheets. So, yeah, I have to draw a boundary somewhere. A couple other things, I guess, about the Meredith-Lisa conversations. I did know we kind of skipped to the end, but some middle part of the sandwich, the meat of it all, we do get Whitney being like, hey, can I give you some advice? Stop talking and listen to...
Can I give you some advice? Shut the fuck up, Whitney. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. That's my advice to you, Whitney. Shut the fuck up and get off this show. How about that? Shut up. I can't with Whitney and Heather. I can't do it anymore. This is my first breakdown on this podcast. I cannot do it anymore. They've driven me to the point where I broke.
I can't. I wish I didn't start laughing hysterically because having the clip of you just going, you know what? I have some advice.
I can't do it.
Shut the fuck up.
Can't do it anymore. I just can't do it anymore with these two.
Wow. I am literally in tears right now. I wasn't expecting it. It was great.
They broke me.
Anyone who chooses to only listen to the audio version of this, you're doing yourself a disservice. You gotta see it in person.
You need to see the full breakdown on video.
Whew. Okay.
Sorry. Let me get myself together here.
It's okay. It's okay. I
can't do it with these women.
We get a decent amount of Lisa kind of passively, somewhat directly being the victim. And I don't think that she's exactly in all of it. I don't think she's exactly right in all of it when she's like, well, Meredith can be everyone's friend, but I can't be. Like, I have to be better. I have to be strong. And people are trying to tell her, like, no, it's okay, but you have to like stop doing what you're doing. And Lisa does apologize. However, it's probably negated by her conversation later with Meredith. And Meredith asked the question of, did you do this intentionally? Was this rant intentional? Which I do think that might still be up for debate amongst the whole Housewives community, because I think that each person could have an opinion on it. And I don't know if anyone is right or wrong.
I don't believe that it was intentional. I truly believe that she was in a full rage, similar to the one I was just in 30 seconds ago, and just went off. I think like I, I've said it before. I've been in these moments where like I get pissed. I'll get off a Zoom call at work and I'll walk out of my room and I'll like go off and then like immediately I get scared that I like forgot to end the call or something. But there are times where I'm just like, I just need to get it out. And I really think that Lisa probably just went into a blind rage, wasn't thinking about the fact that there was a microphone on and just like flipped out. And then probably realized it. And that's where she took her mic off and was like, take this, whatever. I don't think it was intentional for her for it to be recorded.
I could understand and agree with all of that. So I hate this fraying. What the fuck, Carrie? This phrase saying. I'm dumb. Let me play devil's advocate for a second. This is her second season on a TV show where she has to wear a mic. And there is a producer in the room that she is ranting to. So I think everything she said was intentional. But I don't know if I think that I could understand her thinking they'll never put this on there. They wouldn't like fuck me over that way.
Yeah. I think she knew what she was saying. I think that was all like a moment of rage where she's like, I think it was just like a brain dump and that she knew what she was saying. Probably either didn't think about the fact that the mic was on or didn't care because you're right. I think she probably just never thought that it would be used. Little did she know.
Yes. They drove the whole reunion off of it. All right. That is basically our episode reunion. Next week, we get the husbands, which I know is your favorite Salt Lake City, so I'm sure you're excited. Yeah. But do you have anything else that you want to bring up about the Salt Lake City reunion?
No, as much as I hate to say I'm tired of these women, I'm tired of them. 6 months is too long for a Housewives season to go on. I hope this is the only time that we ever have a season that's this long because it's just, we've gone on this roller coaster for so long. It's just like, what are we even talking about anymore? Let's just keep it moving.
No, I agree with you 100%. Next, we unfortunately have Orange County. So again, if you need to take your dog for a walk, maybe a swim in the pool, whatever it is that you do for breaks, here's a great spot, but come back for New Jersey. So basically there's two things happening like simultaneously through this episode. You have Gina and Heather going off to New York. Everyone's not in New York.
Yep.
And it grew into this little competition of who's having.
Okay, we may have lost Kari. She'll probably be back. But it did grow into this competition of like who's having the better time here. Is it the New York crew and is it the non-New York crew? And is Kari back? Did we get her back? Okay. Yeah, I think Greg in the chat says that she went to go walk her dog or go for a swim. So she took her own advice and took a break during the Orange County talk. Oh, I hear her. Here she is. Okay.
I could
and she's
hear
back.
You through it. I could hear you through it. So
oh, great. Okay.
Like, yeah, she doesn't even want to talk about this. She left. Bye. Yeah. So what I was about to ask you is, what did you think of as a New Yorker of Gina and Heather's trip?
The first thing I thought about when they actually like made it to the actual first thing I thought about was the fact that like I didn't think you could fly such a tiny private plane across the country. So there was that. I was just kind of like, oh, I mean, I'm a scared flyer, so I'd be like, nope, get me on a big ass plane.
I didn't even think about that.
It was
they
like
had
pretty
to have stopped, right?
Yeah, right. Like they must have. It doesn't seem efficient to me. And Gina was so like, oh my God, we have a plane and we don't have to go through TSA. Like, I don't care, Gina, about like your basic ass opinions about this. You're on this show because you're supposed to be like the upper echelon of like rich people. And you're just like, you're basically me. So like somehow that like got on this show. So like, I don't need to watch myself like be surprised by a private plane. Like, let me get in this like rich aspirational place with some of these other actually rich women and not like Gina, who's just like another person from New York. That could be me. But I did think when they finally made it to New York City, I noticed like the street signs and they were on like Madison Avenue and like 50 something. And I was like, there's literally nothing there. That's like the middle of Midtown. It's just office buildings and like everything is closed. Why are they? And they're like walking around like they're like drunk eating pizza. And I'm like, where did you even find a pizza place that's open at night? Because everything closes in the evening because offices are closed. So like, you're in the most lame part of New York City and they're acting like they're having like a night out on the town. And I'm just like, at least I hate these people. I just hate them.
I
I
wouldn't
just
have
hate
known
them.
that. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Thank you for that insight because that's true, but also not surprising because I could see Heather like
Yeah.
not wanting to be around like the peasants and
Yeah, I guess
only
like where else would they go? But they could
yeah.
go into like the West Village. They could like go to places where there's stuff happening that are still like where people who have money go. But like randomly walking around on like Madison and 50th is not it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that I would have noticed that. That makes a lot of sense.
It's just
Also,
weird.
Heather just dropping $20. I hope that at least a producer or camera person picked that up. You deserve Heather's $20.
Go
Don't give
give
that back
that
to her.
to, yeah, go give that to someone that needs it. There's plenty of people on the street in New York City who could use that $20.
Yes.
Not Heather's tone deaf ass who dropped it on the ground.
The best part of Heather is her kids. Honestly, like they seem to at least have decent heads on their shoulders for
Hmm.
growing up in literal pools of money. So before they actually got to New York City, they had gone to Syracuse for her kids to look at,
Hmm.
and they didn't seem too interested in going to Syracuse.
No. I also didn't seem too interested in watching them walk around Syracuse, to be
Yeah.
completely honest.
They went to her sorority house and had a banner like welcome Heather and they took pictures outside of that. Like you didn't need to go there.
No.
That meeting could have been an email. There
Yeah.
was no
Post it on
need for
Instagram. We don't need to watch it on the episode.
yes.
Do it on your own time, not on mine.
We also get Gina's parents and Heather's mom and some other who are the other old people there?
No idea.
Yeah, I was like, there's too many people, parents, but whatever. But more specifically, Heather's mom and her kids, they all go out to dinner in New York. And in that moment, I realized why Heather is the way she
It all started making sense. Her mom is a monster. Her mom is a
yes.
monster. She's a monster.
Like to think that Heather is a better version is wild because when you compare the two,
It's
Heather
shocking.
seems
Right. Now we
so
understand her saying the thing about like the amuse-bouche has to go before the salad on the menu. Now it all makes sense because her mom corrected someone in a restaurant for their table setting. Like what a pig. She's a pig, this woman. I'm on rare form today. I'm sorry. But she's a monster. I can't stand people like this. Like, there's no reason to be nasty and to be rude. Like, go eat at your own goddamn house. You can obviously afford to get a private chef. Like, don't abuse people who work in the service industry, especially in the midst of a pandemic. Get out of here. Get out of here with this.
And if anyone's interested, Katie's playing a game right after this, also on Twitch. So
I'm getting fired up. This is too soon. It's too soon for me to get fired up.
You can catch this battle.
The energy's going to carry. Yeah, the energy is going to carry into it. I'm worried for myself.
So that was basically the New York City trip. And while they were in New York City, the rest of the women were back in Orange County, basically having a cooking class from Shannon that turned into Dr. Jen get mad because Noella whispered, who knows what, did they even say what Noella whispered? I'm not sure.
I don't even know.
Yeah, me neither. And it probably didn't even matter. It's just Dr. Jen is probably projecting the fact that she's like one signature away from a divorce onto Noella right now. Yep. And then the rest of them just like get high and drunk and go swimming naked in Shannon's pool.
Yeah, we're never going to be done with these edibles.
Nope. California,
this is just like
dirty by legalizing weed. Now this is all of Orange County's episodes.
Yep.
But some of the drunk antics could have been inspired by the underlying competition needed to have more fun than the New York people.
Yeah, we're still getting this like weird storyline of Shannon being jealous of Gina and Heather, and I'm just like, you guys are the only ones that are talking about it.
Right. Oh yeah.
I haven't heard Shannon say anything. It's like it's them. They're perpetuating this like random story.
Yeah, Shannon's one thing, I guess, is like Gina needs to put a pin in her ego. And that's it.
Hard agree. I agree. Where is Gina's ego coming from? I don't know.
New York City. Originally
she gets to go on a private plane. Yeah, from Hofstra University. They breed these egos. No shade to Hofstra. I have a lot of friends who went to Hofstra, friends who work at Hofstra. But like, give me a break.
And that, besides Dr. Jen going to counseling at the end, which, by the way, the constant mixing of Ryan and Ryan pisses me off. Can everyone just pick a name for this man and use it? Just
If
use
he
one.
wants his name to be Ryan, call him Ryan. No wonder he doesn't like you. He wants his name to be Ryan, and you're calling him Ryan all the time. Like,
And I wouldn't respond well to a counselor who is using the wrong name for me too. If you're calling me
right.
Kari all the time, I have nothing to say to you.
Yeah,
And
then
his
you're not
name.
listening to me or paying attention
Right.
to me. So like, and I'm sure he feels the same way about his wife. So like, I'm fully on Ryan's side here in everything.
That's
Never
it.
thought
That's
I would
Orange
say it.
County. That's all we
Yeah.
have for this. Next week there seems to be some yelling, so maybe it picks up. It seems to be about Shannon telling Gina to put a pin in her ego.
When are these people going to stop talking to Emily?
I don't know. Emily stirs the pot.
I mean, we need someone to stir the
Yeah.
pot, I guess, but like, it's just very messy. I don't know. She's very messy.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. Speaking of messy, what's up, New Jersey?
Here we are. I'm home.
Lead us, Katie.
with
Tell
my
us.
ladies.
Yes, we're back. We're back on the East Coast. Oh,
We are. We're not at the Jersey Shore anymore.
a little bit of research that I did do last week that I shared with you is, if you listened last week, we talked about what we would think the women of New Jersey would hold in their
Yes, that's right.
song.
How can we forget this?
Apparently, they were supposed to hold tomatoes, and the women shut that down.
I'm so happy that they were smart enough to know not to do that, because that would be a nightmare. That would have been so embarrassing. They would have been made a mockery of. It would have been terrible.
Thank you
Tomatoes.
to Bravo. Yeah, thank you to the Bravo Reddit page or the Real Housewives subreddit for allowing that information to be brought to our attention. I think I Googled like why don't they hold anything, and got there. But yeah, I guess Teresa said in like a Wendy Williams interview during seasons 2 or 3 or somewhere way back in the day, they were supposed to hold tomatoes, and they said absolutely not. So that's that. We figured out that mystery. Bring on the next one.
Yeah.
Okay, now this week's New Jersey. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, basically, we have Jen and Bill as a storyline, and then we have Teresa and Louis as a storyline. And that's where we're at with this season. And we have the other like mean girl alliance that wants to take down Jen and Bill and wants to take down Teresa and Louis. That's kind of like what the season's setting out to be. We have more stories that have come out about Louis in the press. I wonder if I would like to know where these stories are coming from, because towards the end of the episode, there were some allegations made that he was physically abusive to his former, I guess, fiance or former whoever his former partner. And Tiki Barber is the one that's like really spreading the shit. And I don't know again why we need Tiki Barber and his wife. Who asked for this? Why is Tiki Barber getting in the mix? I can't do it. I can't with these people. So yeah, and then someone asks where the allegations came from, and Frank says Anon.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So what are we talking about? Like Dumois? Is that where we're getting these from? Or like, is this Summer House? Because Summer House is now also using Dumois as a source. And famously, if you don't know what Dumois is, I don't even know if I'm saying it right, is an Instagram account that posts literally anonymous tips about celebrities and like sightings. Nobody knows if they're true or not. They famously do not like cite sources or like dig into it. They just post whatever they get. So who's the Anon that we're talking about here? Is it a Reddit post? Where are we getting these rumors?
I was waiting for it to be a none of your business, but then it didn't go that way.
It's none of their business. Leave them alone. Like, leave them alone. I'm so tired of them just continuously using Teresa as a storyline. Move on to something else. Obviously, she's gonna freak out. And then like it drives me crazy that Joe Gorga acts like he's like the best brother and the best uncle to Teresa's kids, when all he does is talk about rumors about his sister. He and Melissa are so thirsty, and they have this victim complex that like, oh, Teresa's so mean to us and she's a bad sister. No, you guys are bad brother and sister-in-law and uncles and aunts to her family. Like, just drop it. And why don't you bring something to the show instead of a stupid ass home renovation that no one cares about, or a comedy show that no one laughs at? Like, you bring something else to the show.
I'm just so over their use of the word crooked and how it has destroyed their lives. And I know you've said like in the past, they always like kind of latch on to something each season and run with it. And they're literally latching onto a single word that
They
it's
and the
just,
thing is, like, they allegedly are crooked because Joe has been banned from Home Depot for non-payment. Melissa's store, she has a boutique, Envy, has been busted for selling fake Chanel. They have fake storylines literally every Jen is not lying here. That maybe her delivery is not great, but she's not lying. They are shady. They're shady.
also with that house, that beehive, could we have gotten like a trigger warning on that? That
Yeah,
shit scares
seriously.
us.
I don't need that. I don't need to see that.
Scares me so much. I would not want to have lived in the house after seeing that. I'd be like, wow, this is infested. We got to go forever. We're gonna have to move to a different state. That's how big that
Yeah,
beehive was. That was too much for me. But
too
yeah,
much.
Melissa and Joe are, I like, as a viewer for the first time, it just seems like they're trying too much to where, and again, like, I don't know a lot of their history, but here's what it seems like. I had a history of like blowing the fuck up. And if I'm wrong about that, I will 100% admit that. But this is what it seems like they're carrying into this season is like, oh, well, if we did this, Teresa would like, she'd murder us, blah, blah, blah. Like it seems like they want to justify their actions based off of based off of Teresa's previous actions, where right now, like, it does genuinely seem like Teresa is doing her best to like keep this situation as chill as possible on
Yes.
behalf of Louis and her kids and her whole family. Like, it really seems like she's trying to not engage. And yeah, maybe you want her to address the fact that there's this weird fucking video and there's other rumors coming out, whatever, but she's choosing to not engage,
Yeah,
which
she's not
would
going to
like
do
limit
it.
the drama. And it just seemed like, well, in the past she would have done blah blah blah. So if it was this way now, and it just seems like they're not appreciating like the peaceful way that Teresa is trying to go about things at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's how
I
I'm
think
seeing it.
and Teresa has said, and I think I've brought this up before, but she has said on Ultimate Girls Trip that she's never had a good season on her show because historically everyone has been coming after her. She has been the catalyst of all the drama. Then she went to jail. Her husband got deported. Her kids went through all this stuff on television. Leave her alone. She's done what she needed to do. She's given everything. She's never shied away from showing it on camera. This season, I think she's shying away from it a little bit more because she's now happy in her relationship. She wants to protect Louis from the same things that she's been dealing with. And listen, Louis has kind of shown his ass the last couple of episodes. I'm not defending him, but I do believe that his ex is also, like he said, he has a thirsty ex who's putting these stories out, just so happens to be while they're filming. And it's just kind of like, there's a little bit of there too. Like, I think, I don't think he's completely in the right, but I think, I think his ex also wasn't the best. We could put it that way. And is trying to capitalize on the fact that he's now dating Teresa, or is now in real time engaged to Teresa.
Do you believe that Teresa hadn't seen the video?
No, I think that she's seen the video. Well, okay. I don't know, actually, because I don't want to put it past Teresa to not watch the video, because she famously has said that she like doesn't watch the show. So the jury's out. I could see her not watching it.
She doesn't watch the show?
No, Andy, every time she's on Real Housewives, Andy asks her if she's watching. Every time she's on Watch Happens Live, I mean, Andy asks her if she's watching the season. I think this season she said she is, or she did watch Ultimate Girls Trip, but no, she doesn't watch the show. And I don't necessarily blame her for not watching the show, because every season has been traumatic for her.
Mm-hmm.
So like, why do you want to relive these terrible moments in your life with your family? Like, it's been things about her family that have been just torn through the mud over these however many seasons. So I don't really blame her.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm quite Dolores, because for me, in this short amount of time that I've known Dolores, and I say that personally, like we've had tea together in the afternoon or something, I know that you've said she's always kind of been like the middle of the group. Like, sometimes she's with one side, sometimes she's with another. And I feel like we've seen that a lot this season. But the Dolores we're currently getting right now, which is like, isn't it her mom needs like a triple bypass, and she just broke up with not
David.
Frank. Thank you.
David.
I'm like, I know Frank. I can't remember the other guy. And just like the way that she's navigating those conversations with her family and with Frank, like, she seems very real within like the Real Housewives universe to me.
Yeah. She is. She's traditionally been pretty like level-headed
Mhm.
and very like chill until you push her. Like, we've seen it this season. She's not afraid to get scrappy, that's for
Yeah.
sure. But she is definitely like the voice of reason pretty often, for
Which
sure.
probably explains like her middle of the group type of thing,
Hmm.
because there's gonna be times where one side is more right than the other. Okay, that
And she's
makes
also
sense.
in the middle when you go back and you watch the rest of the season. She's been on like season, I don't know if she's on season 1, but she was on season 2 kind of like in the background. She's
Mhm.
very good friends with Caroline Manzo as well, who was like the other matriarch of Real Housewives of New Jersey. It was Teresa and then the Manzos, and the Manzos were kind of like the original stars of the show, kind of until
Yeah.
Teresa flipped the table. And Teresa is very good friends with Dina Manzo, who was a former housewife, and Dolores is still really good friends with Caroline, and Teresa and Caroline famously had a falling out, and Teresa has accused her of calling the FBI on her family,
Oh.
which is possible. This one, it could be possible. Not like Salt Lake City. This one,
Mhm.
jury's out.
Mhm. Okay. And then at the end of the show, they had the. It's just so funny to me when they're like, the men need to keep out drama, but that um Miss Jen, what's his name? Jen's
Bill,
husband.
Bill.
You. Bill stayed out of drama. And then Joe's like, fuck, and gives no explanation to until they're in person. Oh, the men in this. I guess like another, again, like I'm watching, what are we in, season 12 right now?
Mhm.
Something like that. Season 12, first time viewer opinion is, well, I appreciate the difference from the other franchises because there is more family involved. So like I feel like it gives it a little bit more sense of being real because you do care about your family a different way than you
Mhm.
do like person you're being paid to tape with or whatever. Um, but also it makes it a little bit like too much, I guess, because you've got people getting involved in shit that I don't think that if they were on camera that they would get involved with.
Just
And
wait until you go back and rewatch. If you feel that way about this, just wait until you
really,
go back and rewatch. Yeah. New Jersey has like historically been like very real and like kind of gritty because of all the family stuff that goes on. Um, and Melissa and Joe's first season, season 3, it starts off with a bang. So just prepare
okay.
yourself. Um, but yeah, I don't know what they were really expecting from Bill in this scene. Like
Mhm.
they're all piling on Bill about how Jennifer is a horrible person, and that's his wife. Like he's supposed to sit there and agree with, like, you really expect him to
Right.
agree with you? And then Evan, get out of here, Evan. Like what? Why are you getting involved in all that? Like I just, do we need the men? Do we need the men?
I mean, I could ask that about real life too. Do
That,
we need
yeah,
the
like
men?
just general sentiment. Do we need the men?
See, I felt like this episode kind of, it was probably like the least interesting in terms of the ones so far, but feels
Hmm.
like you need those. It can't just all be like yelling and
Yeah.
grabbing each other's arms in a fake fight and all that stuff. Um, I did like what we got to see out of Dolores this episode, though.
Yeah, and I think she was actually really being a good friend to Jen. And Jen is obviously going through it. All the stuff has
Mhm.
been drudged up about her past and Bill's past, and she's upset. And she's clearly going through, especially now that Bill like didn't defend her and left her kind of like out there on her own.
Mhm.
And now she feels like she's kind of been betrayed again by Bill. And I think Jennifer is a very complex person. I don't want to say character because she is a real person, but
Mhm.
she's a very complex um housewife because of
Yeah.
she's been a little bit like volatile with the way that
Mhm.
she lashes out and she speaks, but I think we're getting like to a deeper layer of her now, and we kind of understand where some of that is coming from. Not that it's an excuse, but like we can understand it a little bit more. And I think the way that, especially now that like all these things have come out, the way the women are treating her is actually like pretty gross, because obviously she's like hurting and she is dealing with things in maybe the wrong way, and instead they're using that as like a weapon against her and calling her like a terrible person, when it's really like these women that are terrible people because they drudged all of this up, and then
Mhm.
are you now using it against her?
Yeah, and going back to her relationship with Bill, I would be incredibly frustrated if the whole reason that this drama is coming up is because you cheated on me. And then when everyone's coming at my ass about
Yeah,
it, you're
you walk
standing off
away.
on the side. Like,
Yeah.
you weren't some other woman, this would storyline doesn't exist, none of this is happening, we don't deal with it, but you're choosing to walk away. That is even more insulting than like
Right.
the original action, but it's probably equally as insulting. Like, you're just leaving me here. I've been and defended you for 10 years out with, and I had nothing to do with it coming out.
Yep.
Oh,
I
we have to
feel
fight. We fight against it. It's me, and I would be so mad too.
I know. I feel sorry for her. I really do. And then especially like for these women now, like Margaret's the one that brought all this up, put it in the spotlight, making Jen kind of like go through all of this again. I feel terrible for Jen's kids. Like you see her daughter getting upset and she's like, you know, mom and dad are going to work through this. It's just like, and then you think about Margaret saying like, oh, well, kids are resilient. They'll get through it. And then you actually see how it's like impacting her kids. And then, you know, you see her saying like now all of these people are probably going to be saying like, oh, Bill doesn't want anything to do with her, but she already thinks like she already was blaming herself for Bill having an affair. And then you have these disgusting people like Jackie and Margaret and Melissa and Tracy being like, oh, he doesn't want anything to do with her. You think that's going to make it any better? Like she already has those feelings about herself because of what Bill did. And now you assholes are piling on it because she's just defending herself against these attacks. Like, I'm like disgusted by Melissa and Jackie and Margaret, specifically Margaret really and Melissa. It just, and then to have the husbands now attack Bill and say your wife is a horrible person. It's just like, you guys really have nothing else to talk about, huh?
Yeah.
Like these two women, Teresa and Jack and oh my God, and Jennifer really are living rent free. And you guys are just, you have no shame using either one of them for a paycheck.
No, that's 100% true. The men just are, they get to like, we're men, we don't get involved in the women's bullshit. But while we're talking about the women's bullshit, how about what Jen said? Like,
yeah, and they
so hypocritical.
Like, let's not get it twisted. The men on New Jersey get paid. They're one of the, I don't know if they make it seem a little bit like they get paid on Salt Lake City. I'm not sure about that one yet because they have had a little bit of a storyline, but the men, it's been confirmed they get paid to be on the show. So you're getting involved in the drama, okay? Like you guys are perpetuating the drama.
One last thing I want to say about New Jersey is I think my favorite character is Gia. Gia has not done a single thing this
Shout out to
season
Gia.
that I haven't been like, oh hell yeah, Gia, for you to be like 2021 and just being the voice of reason for your
so
mother
level-headed.
And your family after all the shit you've been through, go off, Gia. I support everything you're doing. So
me too.
Consider me a big Gia fan.
Gia's, I'm just consistently so impressed by Gia. She has been through so much, so publicly. And, you know, she's the oldest sister. She, you know, when her mom was in jail, she had to be there and like really help with her sister. And I just like, you know, she did it all and she's just been so graceful and like, just, she's great. And shout out to her.
Love a solid oldest child. Are you the oldest?
No, I have an older sister. We're not that close. So yeah.
Gotcha. I'm the oldest of 3. And so maybe that's, I'm a big fan of birth order. So I love when I see that stuff playing out and it's like Gia is the depiction of an oldest child in how she carries herself and everything. But all right, do we have anything else we need to talk about with New Jersey?
I don't think so.
We summed this whole week up in an hour. Which
we did, and I had a bunch of rage out moments. So I think like the speed got to me. I don't know.
I do believe
the coffee kicked in, the speed got to me.
I think Greg might have sent us a clip of you flipping out.
Oh, great!
So I'm just gonna let's see. It's there. I'm gonna copy and paste that one. I don't know how I can from here, but we'll find it. I'll have Greg send it to me. Greg,
it'll be on the Twitch. It'll be on the Twitch page.
Okay, cool. All right, let's end this because you have to go and, you know, destroy the masses in the game. I'm openly cheering for you, Ganjo and Isaiah. That's
Thank you.
My little crew. Come on, Kari, find the thing. All right, here we go. Katie, what are you doing on the internet these days?
I am on Twitter and Instagram at RealSlimKatie with no underscore at the end, just RealSlimKatie. And I'm also on twitch.tv/RealSlimKatie with an underscore at the end. So you can catch me there talking about reality TV, playing some games, chatting with our chat. You can also catch me on the Big Brother Canada podcast on Silent Podcast. So I'm covering that this season with Isaiah, Josiane, Lance, and we had our second episode last night. We summed up the week. We summed up the house thus far. It's been a little bit more than a week. I think we're in week 3 of Big Brother Canada. So it's been a season. It's been a week. It's been a lot. So we ranked the players last night. So please come drag us if you don't like our rankings, or come agree with us if you do like our rankings. We're open to the feedback. We had the Queen Arissa Cox follow us all on Twitter today. So we've officially made it. So yeah, come check us out. We're having a really, really great time with that podcast.
Arissa Cox moment was announced that she was pregnant, and you know the sparkly type of dresses that look like disco balls. So the picture she took was like in that type of dress. And I was like, "Oh, you're giving birth to a disco ball." Like,
Arissa's a queen.
Sense of humor.
Arissa is a queen.
Yeah, about that. Not that I have like any interaction with her show besides openly hating it. So I hate on it as much. Maybe don't hate it. I just hate on it. You can find me.
I feel you. Yes.
On Twitter and Instagram. I will soon be back open to the public because.
Am
I cutting out? Am I
a
back?
little. You're back.
Okay, so I'm on Twitter, Instagram, same thing. Private for 2 more weeks. If you want to follow me on that, and then 2 weeks I'll be open because I'm out of teaching, and I can be an internet. Watch out! I'm coming for you, hosts. But otherwise, I will be soon covering the challenge at CBS, which will be interesting because I'm an OG challenge MTV person. I don't really watch the shows except for Survivor.
If you need a guest, I have so many thoughts on this cast, and I'm a challenge person too. So plugging myself, if you need a guest, I'm happy to join you.
That he's like, "You gonna be doing this?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna need help in terms of the cast because I know small things." But of course, you're welcome any podcast I'm on, Katie, even if you don't watch a show. So that'll come soon, and yeah, just catch me online and on Silent Pod. A bunch of other stuff coming up. Like we are, I know this week, but we are truly picking it up. So first and foremost, on all of the things. So, podcast, YouTube, Twitch, and then silent_podcast Twitter. We are doing, like Katie said, BB Can. Got Gia on the Survivor season that just started this week. Gia, Naomi, and Nicole and Top Chef. You'll have the challenge starting to pick up. They even talked about like entry to kind of do a review. It just seems like if there's something interesting to talk about, we're willing to talk about it. So if there's something you want to hear other people talk about, then let us know. And I'm sure that especially Isaiah, he can round up the troops and make it happen. I do believe that we're going to be getting some like bigger guests coming on, especially with like challenge stuff and BB Can, because we've started to make these connections. We're basically doing it big out here at Silent Podcast. But that is us for this week. Next week we'll have our final Salt Lake City. We'll have New Jersey. We'll have Orange County. So
I'm ready.
Until then, go watch Katie. I'm sure she'll put it somewhere. You can go watch the game she's playing. And we got her all fired up right before. So
I'm going to host it on my Twitch channel. So find me there if you're interested in seeing this energy continue throughout the day.
Yes, that's the goal. So we will catch you guys next week. And again, on behalf of Silent Podcast, we are anything but silent. Bye.